Yeah, I mean, look, Fournette is not a bad football player. He had over 1,000 yards last year and 76 catches out of the backfield. That's a huge season for any running back. And yet, when you hear that from Ian, I also have several texts that have been going on for weeks saying that Fournette has been on the block and there's no takers. It makes you think about the player. But in a rare departure from my usual, let's give you the team side. Let's look at it from the player side. You have now told Jalen Ramsey that you're not fitting the system. You're now telling Leonard Fournette that you're not fitting our system. You're now saying to Yannick Ngakoue that this isn't going to work out here. And how many players, whether it be Kelvin Smith no longer playing with the team, and then Nick Foles was no longer on the team, Blake Bortles is no longer on the team, and Dave Caldwell and Doug Marrone are still there remaining, and they're going to be the ones to push this forward. I'm very interested to see this new Jaguars with Gardner Minshew, and you mentioned Chris Thompson, but it's probably Raquel Armstead as the lead back. And then you've got, DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault and all these young guys. Look, it's young players that want to be there, that are all in, and it is a new era. But man, oh man, that is a lot of faith you're putting in a new breath of fresh air in a very competitive environment in the NFL, letting all that talent walk out the door and saying team chemistry, selflessness, and guys who want to play for this team are more important than necessarily 1,000-yard seasons and 76 catches. So I don't know where Fournette ends up. I'll tell you, there was no market for him on the trade market. There was no one really looking to give a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick because of the $4 million that he'll cost. But if he's a true free agent and he's willing to take less money, I have to think that there will be several teams who will at least be willing to take a waiver, even this late into the offseason.
Players who want to be there is great. Young players are great. Good players really, really matter, too. This is weird. This is on the heels of Ngakoue not only finally leaving, but if you get into the numbers minutia, appearing to take several $1 million less just to leave. And I think it would be remiss if we didn't say they were one play, one Miles Jack fumble recovery from being in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. And now it's a ghost town. It's Will Smith walking around the empty room and there's no furniture. Look, I respect cleaning up the locker room and having guys who want to be there. At some point, though, you have to have the horses. You have to compete. Leonard Fournette, heavily flawed, and he's taken his heat on this show and other places about how he's handled himself on the field, off the field. Like, production is production. I'm not buying into any of that stuff. I hate the storylines. Well, start photoshopping Trevor Lawrence into a teal jersey. I don't think someone like Doug Marrone works that way. I don't think NFL teams really work that way. I just don't understand really how they're working. I understand new era, but new era, Doug Marrone's been there a few years. It's time to win this year. And you just got rid of your bell cow. How bad could it have been? It's very strange. I feel for Gardner Minshew. I think his job just got a lot harder. And Doug Marrone, I guess, has just had enough. But I'm a little bit flummoxed by this one. There's just so much talent, Nate, that has left Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's shocking, though. Tim Brown was in my ear just reminding me that Christian McCaffrey went after Leonard Fournette in the draft. And in that same draft, Mitchell Trubisky went number 2. And for what it's worth, he's competing for his job. Jamal Adams also went before Christian McCaffrey and Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, excuse me. And I'm thinking about these 3 superstars, right? You got Jamal Adams, Leonard Fournette, and now Mitchell Trubisky, who all went for these superstars that are taking over the league. That just shows you that the draft is a shake of the dice. Now, was I shocked to hear this news? No. I mean, it's shocking that it happened while we're on TV. We don't typically get breaking news unless it's after the season and coaches are getting fired. But the first thing I thought of is, what team is going to make that move to sign Leonard Fournette? Because just like Peter said, he's a strong running back, and he can make plays. And if a team already has that fast, kind of scat back, the guy that can move around, catch out the backfield, to get a bruiser, the summoner, an individual that not only had a productive season last year, but has a lot to prove this year. I just feel like whoever lands Leonard Fournette is going to land a really good back that is going to improve their team dramatically.
Nate, it wasn't just Christian McCaffrey who went after Fournette in that draft. Dalvin Cook went after him. Joe Mixon went after him. Alvin Kamara went after him. James Conner, Aaron Jones, Chris Carson. I mean, Austin Eckler is an undrafted guy in that draft. You're taking a running back at 4th overall. You better be sure he is going to be the next greatest running back of all time. You better be sure he's going to be a Saquon Barkley or whatever it is. all those running backs were taken.
Right.
And that kind of gives you more fuel to the fire of you don't take a running back in the top 5. You don't, because here we are. Fournette did have an 1,000-yard season with 76 catches, but I just listed you nearly a dozen running backs taken in the same draft class who are having better careers and are going to have better production in 2020. It is more fire to the argument of you do not draft a running back that high. As good as Ezekiel Elliott is, as good as Saquon is, you see those kind of names and you wonder, do I really need to take one that high if I can get someone else later in the draft who's going to put up similar numbers, if not better?
You remember, Peter, nobody batted an eye when they did, though. They should have taken him in front of all those guys. Leonard Fournette was the next Herschel Walker. I mean, maybe the top 5 college running back performances I have ever seen. And now, look, the proof's going to be in the pudding. Who wants him? He's sitting there. He's 25 years old. He's not 28 even. Who wants him? You know, we saw David Montgomery. Kay mentioned the Bears. I don't know. They said Montgomery may just be out a couple weeks. They're going to draft his replacement now, the guy the Jaguars didn't even want. If he is half as good as he's cracked up to be, he should be claimed by the end of this segment. Someone should grab him. But if he sits there like guys do these days, especially running backs who have had their legs banged up a little, I don't know. Maybe Jacksonville was right. Stay tuned, everybody.